A truly disappointing night for Arsenal Football Club in a North London derby where they could have clinched the return to the Champions League. A soft penalty, moment of stupidity and a mental collapse gave Spurs the bragging rights and an emphatic win. But where did Arsenal lose this game, and more importantly, what's next for the Gunners? Well, smash a like and subscribe if you're new, and here are the 5 things that we learnt from Tottenham 3, Arsenal 0. First things first, Arsenal robbed. Referees and Arsenal Football Club, we have a pretty dodgy history, and let's just say Arsenal fans and referees, we don't get on pretty well. Now, did Arsenal lose this game simply because of the referee? I don't think so, but the Arsenal manager after the game, let's just say Mikel Arteta was really angry. When asked about the game, he says, "If I say what I think, I am suspended for 6 months." Going on to say, "I am not allowed to give my interpretation of what's happened in the game, but I don't know how to lie. I don't like lying, so I prefer not to say what I think. I cannot say what I think because I will be suspended." Mikel Arteta is trying as hard as possible to restrain himself, because if he says what he wants to say, then he could receive a suspension from the FA, and this anger spilled over even to his post-match press conference, refusing to talk about the referee, saying, "I want to be on the touchline on Monday night. We were so excited," says Arteta. "You saw how we started and the way that we were playing. It was a beautiful occasion that was destroyed." Now, in terms of the start, I don't disagree. Arsenal started off the game pretty well. The build-up phase was pretty secure. We dominated possession. Ultimately, we were pressing Spurs. We were causing some sort of issues and had, let's just say, control over the game. But that game was changed like this on the halfway mark of the first half, as Mr. Paul Tierney gave away a penalty which I could not understand on first viewing. Was it a handball? Was it a foul? Was it a push? A cross comes in towards the far post towards Kane Son, and as Son tries to attack the ball with Cedric Suarez behind him, on the first viewing of the angle they showed on TV, it looks like Cedric nudged into Son. But then saying that, when you watch it from the other angle, the opposite angle, which wasn't shown on TV at the time, it looks like Son actually made the movement to go down prior to Cedric's contact. And let's be honest, it does look pretty soft. Now, some Arsenal fans have seen that angle on social media and they are going ballistic. They think it was not a penalty, and you could argue for that. But once the referee gives it, from the angle that he saw the game from, of course, which is the opposite side, it wasn't a clear and obvious error, therefore VAR was never going to overturn it. As the Arsenal manager, I can understand why Arteta is so angry, but on the other hand, if that was an Arsenal attacker and a Spurs defender, you best believe that we are all calling for a penalty. But of course, this will all go down to personal interpretation, so let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments on the first Spurs penalty. But talking about being robbed, what about our own Rob in Mr. Rob Holding? 1-0 down, he gets sent off, and that is basically game, set and match. But if you were to go back to his first yellow card of the game, which I don't disagree with by the way, on the replay you can actually see an angle of Kane Son elbowing Rob Holding. Now, I'm not saying that's a clear and obvious error, but if Rob Holding is street smart and he understands what's happened there, if he starts holding his face and start rolling around, I think VAR would have checked it, and therefore it would have given the referee a massive decision to make. And that was at the 11th minute. So early on in the game, Spurs weren't 1-0 up, and it potentially could have been game changing. But once again, this goes down to personal interpretation. Watching back this Kane Son elbow to the face of Rob Holding, what do you guys make of it, and do you think Son was lucky to remain on the pitch? Now, the ultimate question here is, has the referee cost Arsenal the game? Did he rob Arsenal of the 3 points? I'm not going to go as far as saying that, but I will say there is a case to be made that Spurs' penalty was pretty soft and that Son potentially could have got sent off. In terms of that penalty in particular, it was a game-changing moment. The referee changed the game there and there, and therefore I can understand why Arsenal fans are angry. But what do you guys make of it? Do you guys blame the referee today? Do you think he robbed Arsenal in terms of his decisions? Or do you agree with his on-field decisions and think Arsenal fans are just being crybabies? Moving on to the second thing, and that is Rob Holding stupidity. I've seen some Arsenal fans try to put a defense case out there that it was a unlucky red card and it wasn't a second yellow card, but for me, I think it was a clear and obvious double booking. The first one, he gives the referee no choice, and the second one is clear and obvious stupidity. Son's going nowhere, the ball is going straight to the goalkeeper. What's the need to bump into the guy's face when you're already on a booking in a game where the referee has already favoured Spurs in one decision? 1-0 down already, your backs are against the wall in what was a game where Arsenal could have clinched the top 4. Keep your head in the game, you're an experienced player. Yes, Arsenal have inexperience within the team, but today it was an experienced player like Rob Holding who's played in so many games. With a moment of stupidity and him trying to be a bit of a hard man, forgetting about the referee, he has also played a gargantuan part of why Arsenal Arsenal also lost this game. Because yes, Spurs were 1-0 up, but I don't think they were electrifying. I don't think they were playing the best of football, and Arsenal were causing them issues when we got forwards into the final third. So if you can just keep your head in the game, get to half time at 1-0, this Spurs team is vulnerable, and therefore if Arsenal just kept themselves in this game, I do have firm belief that Arsenal were able to get themselves back in it. But also after the red card, it gave Mikel Arteta a choice. He's got only one centre back on the bench, and that is a half fit, if fit, Ben White. Arsenal moved into a back five. Tomiyasu played as a left centre back and a right centre back. I think Xhaka dropped in as well, so it was a makeshift back three. But in that moment, Arteta almost hesitated because Ben White was warming up, but then via set piece, Spurs killed the game at 2-0. And for me, there's no doubt that if we have a centre back occupying a central area, that is an area where Arsenal often clean up so many balls. Bentancur never wins the flick on, Harry Kane never gets the ball, and Spurs don't kill the game at 2-0 up. But am I trying to blame Arteta? No, because I'm not quite sure how fit Ben White was. But then again, you have to argue that if a player is fit enough to be on the Arsenal bench, surely then he's fit enough to play at least a part in the game. But what do you guys make of the choice to not bring on Ben White, and more importantly, the performance of Rob Holding? Do you think Rob Holding's stupidity cost Arsenal the game? Moving on to the third thing, and that is a mental collapse. Despite of the Spurs fans being so loud and the aggressive fan nature, can the Arsenal players cope? Those first 10 minutes, they calmed it down. They controlled the game, they controlled the press. They were the more threatening side and dominated the ball, and it looked like Arsenal had the game all under control. But then of course, once that first thing goes against Arsenal, these Arsenal players just seem to fall apart. I'm not sure if it's down to the lack of experience of the manager of the first team. Every time this Arsenal team goes 1-0 down, it all just seems to fall apart, and there doesn't seem to be this backup game plan or this bounce back ability from these Arsenal players that in the 90 minutes they're able to keep their heads in the game, keep the score at just 1-0 and slowly find their way back into the game. Instead, you have experienced players that are upholding, getting stupidly sent off, and then the second half, Spurs made chance after chance. Ole's dominating the ball, and don't get me started on that third goal either. Just after the second half has started, any chance of Arsenal fighting back in this game was gone like that. With El Neni slightly out of position, Harry Kane gets the ball, and Gabriel's trying his best, but Kane's a very strong player. Bit of unfortunate as Gabriel clears the ball into Son, but he fires the ball into the back of net. It is game, set and match, and the embarrassment is well and truly complete. But as Arsenal fans, we have to look at end goal. Yes, the referee might have done this. Yes, Rob Holding was this, but ultimately it looked like yet another game where this young Arsenal team, when the going got tough, they just were not able to hack it. But what did you guys make of the Arsenal performance despite of the results? And dare I say, did you guys see any signs of encouragement, or just like myself and most Arsenal fans, right now you're a bit depressed, a bit sad, and you just want to get into bed and to go to sleep? Moving on to the fourth thing, and that is injury concerns. The result was damning and it was embarrassing and it hurts, but what could hurt Arsenal going into the future more is a centre-back crisis. First things first, you had the stupidity of Rob Holding getting sent off in the first half. Ben White was clearly not fit enough to come off the bench, and then deep into the second half, you also had Gabriel Magalhaes going down, having to come off, signalling a hamstring injury. And after the game, Arteta says, Gabby is not normally a player who asks to get off the pitch. He felt something, but hopefully it's not much. It's a muscular problem that we'll have to assess. No Kieran Tierney, no Thomas Partey. Ben White's not fully fit. If we lose another first team pillar like Gabriel Magalhaes, then Arsenal could be in deep waters. But hopefully the fact that he was able to walk off it is something minor, and going into that massive game on Monday night, Gabriel's back, fit, available, and back in the Arsenal starting lineup. But if he is fit, who's going to be his partner? Because most certainly it's not going to be Rob Holding. When Arteta was asked on Ben White staying on the bench, he says, to take the risk in a situation of this game, it didn't make any sense. Now focus on Newcastle, that's our focus. This game is history. Gabriel felt something, so hopefully Ben White will be fit. The fact that Ben White made the bench for this game says to me that he was somewhat fit and he could have been available, and the fact that he was warming up just before Spurs made it 2-0, it indicates that Arteta was going to throw him on. I think at that moment Arteta understands this game is past us. What was the point of risking a Ben White when Arsenal just simply weren't going to get back in the game? Moving on to the fifth and final thing, and that is it's still in our hands. After tonight, I'm sure that we will see a lot of crazy Arsenal fans with crazy Arsenal takes. Arteta needs to go. He's the worst manager in the world. This player is awful. This young team is not ready. The top four is over and Arsenal are going to get Europa League. Well, in actual fact, my friends, yes, Spurs now have the momentum, and yes, it was an embarrassing result. But as things stand in terms of the table, Arsenal still remain in fourth, a point clear of fifth place Spurs. And here are the remaining fixtures. For Arsenal, next is Newcastle away on Monday, and then Everton on the final day of the season at the Emirates. Whereas Spurs now have Burnley on home on Sunday, and then it's Norwich away on the final day of the season. Spurs definitely have the easier fixtures there, but don't count out down Burnley on Sunday. Even though Spurs are the home team, Burnley are fighting for their lives and they need to win that game. And with the game also being on Sunday, it means that Burnley will go into the game with an extra bit of rest. Putting Spurs to one side, let's focus on Arsenal for a second, because we are a team that have a very hard game next. St James's Park, Newcastle away, their final home game of the season, and it's on a Monday night football, which Arsenal this year haven't had the best of results. This is a brand new Newcastle team under a brand new manager in Eddie Howe. They've got the money, they've got better players, and I am absolutely certain they want to end the season on a bang. The pressure is on. Spurs now have the momentum, but the most important thing and the bottom line is Arsenal still have the control over their own destinies. So if Arsenal can maximise the points and get 6 points out of 6, no matter what Spurs do and how many goals they win by, via that 1 point Arsenal will still remain in 4th place and secure the return to the Champions League. Let's not point fingers now, let's get back together, dust ourselves down. Today's history is not going to change now, and look to the future to what we can change. Talk to me down below in the comments. What were your thoughts on the game, and now what are your thoughts on the top 4 race? Do you still believe in Arsenal and their hopes to return to the Champions League? But that is the video there, so if you guys have enjoyed, then I guess make sure to go down there and smash a like, and also do subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you would like to follow your boy on all of the social medias, then the links will be down below in the description. But that was the 5 things that we learnt from Tottenham 3, Arsenal 0. It's painful to say it was a painful day, a painful night for Arsenal fans, but now dust ourselves down, look to the future, masters of our own destiny, and on to St James's Park on Monday night. Until then, take care of yourselves and have a bit.